All right, so you ready for a sneak peek of the best music education money can buy? Good, let's get into it. It's obviously my school, right? And I'm gonna actually prove to you why it's my school in this video just by highlighting a couple of posts from our community members, okay? Here's this one that I think is insanely life-changing, okay? Let's see what Professor Heaton has to tell us here with his odd meter rhythmic exercises post. Hey all, I wanted to share some odd meter rhythmic exercises I practice. Oh, great! These are notated without pitch, meant to be tapped out on a desk, a practice pad, your thighs, whatever. The treble clef is played by the right hand and the bass clef is played by the left hand. Wow, this is gonna be fun. Many of us get quite comfortable in 4/4. That's a fact. We can phrase over the bar line, accent any part of the bar at will, and string together different rhythmic groupings without worrying about getting lost. However, when we play odd meters, such as 5/4, 7/4, we sometimes play it safe in order to make these time signatures comfortable. You know what he means by playing it safe. You know exactly what he means. Okay, so you see where he's getting here. This is gonna be game changer. There is a tendency for many improvisers to accent the same parts of the bar over and over, clinging to the next downbeat for fear of getting lost. Sound familiar? It's hard to feel rhythmically invincible the same way we do in 4/4. These exercises are meant to address that problem. I've taken what I consider to be the most common odd meter claves and written out various combinations of them. The goal is to first get comfortable hearing them played against each other and then be able to switch between them at will. Imagine the left hand as the kick, the right hand as the snare. Does that change how you hear these combinations? There will definitely be some rhythms that feel comfortable to you right away, but are unplayable when you switch hands. So it looks like he's also notated strings of dotted quarter notes against the same common claves. Learning how to feel the endless dotted quarter hemiola is one of the first things we do when unlocking rhythmic invincibility in 4/4, so it makes sense to do it in the context of odd meters as well. Eventually you can start displacing any and all of these rhythms by an eighth note at a time and surprise yourself with the rhythmic phrases you come up with. I've included single examples of displacement at the end of each sheet. I guarantee that doing this will force you to feel these time signatures in ways you haven't before, and you will feel more confident playing a wider variety of rhythms when improvising in odd meters. You could also use some of these combinations as the foundation of an odd meter composition. Inevitably, this is of course just scratching the surface, but I think it's enough material to last anyone a long time, especially if you haven't done any rhythmic work like this before. I hope this is valuable for at least some of you. Please let me know. Okay, so let's take a look at one of these things. We'll go with the 5/4. Oh, geez, I'm scared already. Oh, great. So he's got the long 5 in the bass clef, right? So the bass clef is accenting a big 5, and the treble clef is accenting a small 5. And the challenge here is to play both of these at the same time. Let's just try this. I'll tap on my thighs like Neil suggested here. So in my right hand, I'm gonna play the treble clef, so that's oh, I failed right away. That's exactly what I expected because I literally can't hear those yet, right? And that's why Neil posted these, because he knows that we need to clear the cobwebs out of our brains so we can understand all rhythms. So how do we clear the cobwebs? Well, here's the cheat code, right? I saw this coming. I knew I was not going to be able to do this right away. I got to hear this thing, man. You got to put these rhythms in the MIDI so you can hear them. Once you hear them, you have it for life. You literally trigger the comprehensive fluency of these rhythms just by hearing them. So what I've done here is I put the small 5 on top, the big 5 on the bottom. Now I can hear these. So let's hear. Now there's almost like a melody that starts to emerge. That's what you want to hear, right? The melody is just the result of those two rhythms crossing over each other. So now that I can hear this, I can break it down into small chunks and just try to play that first measure. So that's going to be something like this, right? Like, right? There we go. That's something, right? So I'm just like internalizing the sound of that measure, right? And I'm just going to slow that down and just repeat that first measure only here. Okay, let's just try this slower, right? So. right? There's a melodic rhythm emerging. That's what you're getting in your ears. That's the valuable nugget here. Okay, now if we isolate the second one, let's just listen to that. That's a pretty devastating rhythm just on its own right there. Small 5 against big 5 starting on beat 2, right? Big 5 starting on beat 2 here. So that's going to be like this. We see beat 2, there's a moment of alignment from the small 5 to the big 5. Let's try this, right? So we've got... right? You see what I'm saying, dude? Clearing out the cobwebs here. Okay, let's put this all together now, right? You see what I'm saying, dude? Like, okay, now I understand the sound of small 5 against big 5. It's research is what it is. You're doing research because once you hear that, it's yours forever, right? All right, let's see what else Neil's got for us because that's not the end of the document here. So, okay, oh, great. Okay, you got to switch hands. I'll leave that to you, right? You can join the school, get the exercise. You can switch hands. Let's go down to the next exercise here. Oh, this is going to be fun. So we've got, in the treble clef, we've got 2-3-2-3. In the bass clef, we've got 3-3-2-2. I'm going to need to plug that in the MIDI before I can even begin to practice that because I have no freaking clue what that sounds like. So let's plug that in here. Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's just hear this now. That's sick, man. That's just free energy is what that is. So we got that small 5 on top. That's going to be bop, 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 like same as the other one. And then on the bottom, we've got bop, 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 bop. So what's the combination of those? It's going to be like... right? There's a melody emerging. That's what I'm talking about, that free energy, right? As soon as you start doing research into this stuff, it's just like, dude, everything gets revealed to you because you just hear all these like intrinsic rhythms, right? That's informing your compositional awareness. You want to be very in touch with the intrinsics, right? So Neil is giving us huge insight and just writing these out. So we're seeing them very, very clearly. All right, let's just look at one more example from this Neil exercise because I want to get in these dotted quarter hemiolas. Oh, great! Look at this. 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. So just the dotted hemiolas, those resolve after 3 measures of 5. That makes sense. And on the bottom, you're just having that 3, 3, 2, 2, right? Which equals 10 eighth notes, 5 quarter notes, right? So this can be an interesting juxtaposition. I have no freaking clue how that's going to sound. So once again, I'm going to rely on the MIDI. That's my cheat code, but it's a very valid cheat code because once you hear in the MIDI, you hear it forever. You got it for life. Let's hear this. I failed. Okay, I tried though. I tried. That was close. I almost had it. This is for you to go practice. You're going to get into school. You're going to work on these. You're going to apply this to your own musical awareness as well. So let's check out some of the other posts we got going here. Well, we've been talking a lot about T-highs in this group. That just seems to be an obvious thing that has emerged from our research, right? The T-highs, they just revealed themselves to us. So I actually think it makes sense to go check out this post from Antoine. T-high application. Oh, great. This is going to be ridiculous. Okay, let's see what he's got here. So following the discussion yesterday on the different subphrase lengths inside a T-high, I came up with that little tune. It's in 4/4 and it features 2 sections based on 2 different T-highs I use as examples in the post. So Antoine likes to put T-highs next to each other. So what we see here is he's got this 13 T-high, right? 6, 7, 6, 7, 6. The truncation is that 6, right? So your 2 cycles are 6 plus 7, 6 plus 7. So you got 2 13s plus 6. And that 6 is the special accent embedded in the 13, right? That makes complete logical sense. And then he's got this other T-high that's based on a 15, right? 2 plus 13 equals 15. So you got 15 times 2 plus 2, right? 2 is the special accent. Very interesting. Oh, and then he goes back to the 13 T high. He even tells us the chords, man. I mean, this is literally just gold. This is showing you exactly how to apply T highs to literally make absolute banger riffs. So let's actually go ahead and listen to what he's got here. This is probably going to be freaking mind-blowing. Ready? Great. So what do you notice? He made a practice module out of this thing, like finger-style rodeo chords on bass. Perfect! Like, that's exactly what you gotta do here. You take these little systems, these little frameworks, and you make practice modules out of them, and oftentimes those practice modules end up becoming epic compositions. Obviously, Antoine could expand that into an epic composition simply by just arranging it, right? Like in his DAW. You know what I'm saying? These frameworks provide you with everything you need to just make an absolutely devastating composition, but it requires harmonic knowledge, right? Like the prerequisite to this stuff is the harmonic knowledge, right? When you have that harmonic fluency and then you're applying that harmonic fluency through compositional frameworks, you literally have the keys to the kingdom. You realize infinite, endless, limitless creativity, right? That's what this is all about. That's what we're teaching in Systems for Creation. We're teaching limitless creative potential. It's just a matter of perspective. We're showing you how to see that through frameworks. And I always say the prerequisite is just that harmonic fluency. If you want harmonic fluency, you can work with me one-on-one and I'll trigger it for you. And then all this stuff is just like free energy after that. Let's actually check out another composition in here. Because I know Eric, yeah, this one, the palindrome. Eric made a T-high palindrome composition. Oh, great! What has he got here? He's got footage of mountains? Let's see what's going on here. Dude, are you freaking kidding me, Eric? Okay, so what do you notice? He found the metric modulation in the T-highs. It's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, wow! That's the beautiful thing about our school, is that everyone is finding new implications from these frameworks. Eric found the metric modulation. We never talked about this. Like, he just found it. He's like, oh, perfect! Like, it sets up a metric modulation. Amazing. Sounds like a tempo change, obviously, right? And that's just like in his DAW. He's using basic math, and the results of using that basic math are staggering, right? It's like literally like illusions, right? Like tempo changes, but it's not a tempo change. It's all the same grid work, right? Really nice work on that one, Eric, dude. Eric is a killer trombone master and arranger. You can hear it. Proof's in the freaking pudding right here. Okay, what else we got? Oh, yeah, I like this one. Do you know your pentatonics? Probably not as well as Emil does, because he literally used a spreadsheet to figure out every combination of 5 notes you could ever imagine in your life. Let's look at one of these. What's going on here, right? This is probably going to look like deep math work to you. No, it's making complete sense, right? You see what he's going here? He's just looking at combinations of 5 notes on an Excel sheet. Like, it just makes complete logical sense. Actually, I've looked through this post before. This is kind of where it gets really interesting down here, right? This is perfect, right? He even says, if you want the short answer to what pentatonic scales are worth your investigation, look at this result. So he just found the best 5-note combinations, right? Breaking all the rules here. I mean, this is like stepping way outside the lines of like traditional pentatonic logic. It's just about 5-note sequences. And this is really game changer stuff, because what ends up happening is he starts to find pentatonic scales that have consecutive notes in them, right? Because when you think of traditional pentatonic scale, there's no half steps in that, right? But with this system that Emil has found, he's found a pentatonic scales with half steps in them. So that's a very fresh sound. I mean, you just don't really hear that. And if you got that language under your fingers, then guess what? That ends up being harmonic vocabulary that you can literally just apply to this, Antoine framework here. You do T high, right? You apply the pentatonics to that, and it's like, boom, you literally have an ultimate banger of a song, and no one's ever going to make it exactly like you made it because you're interpreting this information relative to your unique musical sensibilities that no one else on the planet has. And that's the beauty of these frameworks, right? That's what I always say is like, if you have all of the awareness in your mind, right, harmonic and rhythmic, and then you just put that into these frameworks, it's literally like, dude, there's no better way to actualize your greatest musical vision. It's just that simple. So that's what we're teaching in the school, right? And if you want to get that foundational knowledge, right, that harmonic foundation so that you can really operate within these frameworks, that's where you're going to work one-on-one with me. I'm all about triggering that full comprehensive harmonic awareness. That becomes the foundation of then learning to apply these systems in composition and practice and realize your greatest potential as a musician and creator. We're essentially eradicating all creative blockages. And that's why these systems have existed for a long time. Like the T-High framework, it's obviously existed for that exact purpose. Still blows my mind how it crosses into that Meshuggah framework. Those things are like, they're the same, right? But it makes complete logical sense. Like, why does everybody love Meshuggah? Well, it's because they're using an ancient principle of creation, but they've tweaked it, a little bit. But it's still that basic idea of complete cycles with truncated cycles inside complete cycles, triggering this weird nostalgic aspect within like the microcosm of a riff. I mean, this stuff is game changer stuff. It's literally stood the test of time, right? Because no one even knows where these T-highs originally came from. Now we say they're from Indian classical music, but when you really start to work with them, you're like, okay, is this like literally some kind of insight in the mind of the almighty creator? Yeah, I think it is. If you want to understand the nature of creation, well, go do your research on creation frameworks, and you're certainly going to have a better idea about what is creation really about. What are the fundamental components of creation? We see cyclicality always coming back, and we see the conclusion of cyclicality, which is paradoxical, but that's the whole thing. That's the truncation, right? So if you have no idea what I'm talking about, you should definitely hit me up on Instagram. I'll trigger your comprehensive musical enlightenment. I'll let you in the school, and you can work with us. You can do research with us. You can become one of the foundational members of the greatest music school the internet has ever seen. So talk to you soon, kid. Oh, I almost forgot. I actually want to show you what's been going on in the classroom here, right? So first of all, look at this freaking thing, right? Look at all of these courses. So these are composition courses. All of this is compositional frameworks, examples of frameworks in practice, right? But what I've started doing is uploading the jazz fluency courses. So in the work that I've been doing one-on-one with my students, I've been creating lessons for them, and now I'm uploading those lessons one by one into the classroom for my comprehensive jazz fluency series. So if you're interested in unlocking comprehensive jazz fluency, I literally have a battle-tested, flawlessly effective framework for unlocking that fluency. So if you get in the school, you can start working on those courses. If you have any questions, you obviously have access to me in the school to answer those. But essentially, these lessons that will continue to be uploaded are just showing you the framework of jazz. And my whole teaching methodology is based on understanding the framework of jazz, because that framework is the foundation to then implement the systems for creation on top of it. The thing about jazz is it provides us with endless examples of harmony, melody, rhythm in practice, in form, right? So when you understand how to decode those forms and you understand how to actually play all of their implications on your instrument, that is the point at which you start implementing beat cycles, T-highs, substitutions, these things, the things we're talking about here, the higher level stuff, right? So you need that foundational understanding, which is provided in jazz. It's really just musical fluency. Jazz gives you musical fluency. Like literally, jazz is synonymous with musical fluency. When you understand jazz, you are fluent in music. And then you have the prerequisite knowledge to then start exploring some of these systems that we talk about. And I just want to be clear, the systems that we're talking about in the school here, they're not like reinventing the wheel, right? They're really just looking to the past and seeing which frameworks have been really effective for composition, and then literally extracting those frameworks from studying the music and then just teaching them. Like, there's nothing new under the sun, really. It's just a matter of applying your knowledge to frameworks that have been time tested and then seeing the results in your own compositions. So in order to see the full implications of these frameworks, you're gonna need that foundational musical fluency, which we get in jazz. And that's what I'm teaching to my one-on-one students. Once they get that fluency, they're in the school, they can start applying these systems. And like I said, just trigger comprehensive musical fluency, endless creation, infinite potential of creative actualization. That's just the byproduct of putting these things together. And that's the philosophy of the school. Game changer stuff. This school is literally the epicenter for the most cutting edge music education on the planet at this time, because our #1 goal is about eradicating creative blockages. And that is accomplished very simply by just implementing compositional frameworks as the foundation for your compositions, right? You're never gonna wonder, where do I start? Use a framework. You'll never have that question ever again. So I hope you enjoyed this tour through my school. If you want to work with me, if you want to trigger comprehensive musical enlightenment, you can reach out to me on Instagram and we can potentially work together. Obviously, I'm filling up because I've been saying this for a while. I got a lot of people reaching out to me, and I'm very, very grateful for all of those who have trusted me to trigger their comprehensive musical enlightenment. And I want to spread it more because it's about triggering comprehensive musical enlightenment for as many people as possible. So that includes you. Reach out to me on Instagram. Let's get to work, all right? And then I'll let you in the school and you can literally trigger infinite creative potential. So see you soon, for real this time.